that same composition from earlier, double smokes, double duelists trying to take some space. Again, both these teams, a lot of good scouting utility to take control over hookah, and I really want to see what Knights can bring in here, because it was a very close first map, and I think if Ban continues to look strong, there's going to be a lot of options, but I do love seeing Ban willing to flex onto the sky. This is something that I think Leaf really started pioneering on this bind map, and I would love to see a lot more Jet players work over into.
Any thoughts here, Sideshow, as we get ready to kick it over to the casters for the second map in the series?
I think it's just so important to shut down TenZ. I'm echoing what Ender is saying there. You've absolutely got to make sure that this guy is a non-factor on Bind and Haven, because that's how Sentinels ended up winning that match against NRG. I don't know if the Knights have got it in them, but if they can, this would be an enormous scalp to be able to take. Like I said, Sentinels were hoping to come in here and make a statement like version 1 did, and that's already out the window.
Pittsburgh Knights picked up a big win in map 1, but we'll see if they can do it in map 2. We've got Shift and Dust to take us through the action. Take it away.
Very much as we are ready to go here. The biggest question on my mind, I think, is kind of twofolded. The first being, I think that Des brought up great points about SicK kind of utilizing just self-fulfilling abilities. Obviously, much more liberty to do that when you're playing on arrays, but on the other side of the coin, can Pittsburgh find a way to jump in here and maybe take some offensive rounds away? That's been the biggest problem for teams playing up against Sentinels. Their defense is just so darn good. That'll be something to consider for the second half, though.
Yeah, Sentinels are just so explosive on this map with the double duelist composition. They are 13-1 since TenZ joined the team. They're over 65% win rate on both sides of the map. Then their only loss was 11-13 against Gen G. And they beat international competition on this map. You know, they beat the likes of Fnatic, New Turn, Team Liquid, and they've dominated North America on Bind. So they definitely come in as such a heavy favorite, and that's certainly a great way to prove that, just getting the initial entry right away over at Long B here. Also, they have hookah control. They're setting up this B split.
Genghsta's here trying to re-clear, though. There are a lot of members that are low HP for Sentinels, but this pinstripe kill feed will, in turn, lead to a 3v2 overall. ShahZam still scouting things out. The spike is not making the move forward alongside dapr. That'll be collected by TenZ, and then an opportunity to plant will quickly follow.
Yeah, a little bit of flank, though, coming off here from Ban. Maybe he can try to catch a timing on ShahZam inside of hookah position, try to unlock a way to retake. But as it stands, Sentinels have the 3-on-2, and ShahZam's watching for the flank and capitalizes. And yeah, that is pretty much a done deal. Sentinels, very dominant pistol win. Rapid fire into B. Come on top with ease. Always ahead in that round.
And it does start, you know, for the Knights, trying to maybe set up some tempo early with that aggressive play through B long. Immediately, it's just that, you know, you've got the ability for SicK, as mentioned. He's going to use all of his utility to help himself move forward, and obviously you expect to see more of that on Raze. So I think that the curiosity will be, what kind of speed and tempo do Sentinels want to try to push here? And maybe more importantly so, will Knights try to keep up with them by still using that aggressive mindset that we saw, at times at least, through Ascent?
Yeah, Knights just don't have that same track record that Sentinels have on Bind. You know, they've had a couple of wins against BBG and TSM, but they don't really have that super huge win. And, you know, they have just barely a positive win rate on the map. And that's a great little double swing, though. High and low. They get 2 kills and spike down. And maybe a chance to even claim some weapons. SicK trying to save the day from outside of hookah. We'll get 1 back. But now getting pressured from Ban up top. But he reacts really well. Yeah, that's big. He's kind of starting to take away some of the fear out of this round.
Oh, and he gets across. Oh, my goodness.
I thought he was done for a second, bro. I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, man. Just the trail effects of the fragments from that Paint Shell's Boombot interaction. Now Skuba. Sheriff could be deadly in this position, especially with SicK already low. And, of course, potential maybe more beyond that. SicK. It's more on just 3 HP. I don't know.
How has SicK just been a hero from 3 health? That looked like such a scary round. That's those initial 2 kills on the B push, but somehow SicK has just completely canceled that out, and now they have a comfortable post plant.
Ziff up top, long range engagement. Trying to get some tags into TenZ, who changes the angle. More shoulder peeks coming through. And as Frosty falls, SicK could potentially ace.
With 3 health.
What, 3 of his kills have been on 3 HP already.
Yeah. Here it comes.
Here it comes.
Imagine.
Wait.
No.
Paint Shell's the finish? No.
Oh,
there it is.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, it is a little bit absurd, isn't it? Just Obviously, it's a save, you know, but it's just the way it started. It gets so scary. And SicK, again, just great reads throughout the round, understands he might get pressured, alleviates that pressure right away. And then, yeah, 3 kills with 3 HP to get the ace. That's always a good sign for Sentinels when SicK's doing that. Get that confidence flowing right away. Where he can
How
really
about a round 3
unleashed on the raise.
showstopper, by the way, for your bonus?
Hell yeah, why not? Why the heck not?
You know, here's the thing. You know, you talk about Sentinels, and, you know, a lot of the time when we've seen them on this map, at least from last year, the end of last year, you know, they don't allow more than 3-4 rounds when they're on the defense. But when they get beat, it's because they just get out-defended. So I hate to call it this early, Dust, but is this a round that has to lead to some in a row for Knights?
And again, they've only been defeated once with TenZ on the roster. That was a 11-13 loss to Gen G. And they have 13 wins outside of that in the 14 games they've played since TenZ has been on board. They're just an unstoppable force on both sides of the map, to be honest with you. Just good luck to anyone in North America beating Sentinels on Bind, especially because a lot of teams shy away from Bind. You know, it's like kind of been a popular ban lately, actually, in some of the other play we've seen this year. But yeah, this is still Sentinels being the kings. They're just going to burst through with that showstopper, looking for space. SicK gets the kill with the showstopper. Good catch from Ban, though, to lock down Octagon. Yeah, this is big. That's a big kill to get just to have. Oh, now it's gone. Well, short-lived.
SicK playing again forward in the Nebula. This time nobody expects it. Still surviving on low HP. Takes another 2 with him. Leaving XXiF for a 1v3, and he will not get the best of TenZ. So technically speaking, the bonus comes through. Sentinels take 3 in a row and looking good so far on their offense while doing it.
Yeah, this is the start that Sentinels were looking for. Just nice, you know, get your feet wet early. Don't fall into any type of stressful situations. Just a good burst out, good utility. Showstopper does its job. There was a brief moment when Ban gets that first kill Octagon where you think, okay, that's an anchor point they can use to try to set up this retake, but it was so quickly dealt with. You know, it never really became a problem for Sentinels. So now coming to this round, up 3, fully bought out, save from Knights, just the Sheriffs, no alts.
And SicK is already almost halfway to another showstopper, by the way. Yep. Just to throw that out there.
Yeah, he's teeing off right now. So just kind of playing a default map control play that you often see, the raise pressuring hookah, keeping presence all across A side of the map while also maintaining presence at long B. So just kind of what you come to expect from how this map plays out attacking-wise. ShahZam able to get a pick on that shower's pressure. Zombs on the opposite side finds his as well. And yeah, things are just going swimmingly for Sentinels here.
Yep. So with this, Knights, I mean, it really just comes down to you just try to gamble stack something with 3 players. It's kind of hard to make that call, especially with not a lot of commitment yet from Sentinels, although these shock darts and early damage coming through will eventually allow an opportunity to get on towards A, and yeah, okay is right. As if tried to sneak on back towards site, TenZ will deny and the spike will be planted.
Yeah, and another thing to point out here is that, you know, Sentinels have not played a whole heck of a lot lately, right? That's been one of the talking points. One of the things that's changed about this map in that process is short A is a lot less claustrophobic for attacking teams. So if anything, it gives Sentinels even more free reign on their explosive play style to really feel comfortable coming out on these short A pressures. Something I imagine we'll continue to see even in buy rounds. And that's something that Knights are going to have to figure out a response to.
I mean, it's what a lot of teams have had to find a response to, because there was that point in the time throughout midway through tail end of last year where everyone started kind of getting away from running super aggressive comps in favor of pulling out things like Vipers, getting more controllers in the mix, just dominating space as we get a prime game and flawless on screen. And Sentinels are coming in, as you mentioned, not just to a map change, but a change that will allow them. And we've seen a number of teams do this through the NSG winners, the calls themselves. You can run double duelist, and you have a lot more space, like you mentioned, to work with because of it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Sky's another popular option on this map. Double controller is just kind of the standard, but there's been a little bit of flexibility on whether you play secondary duelist or whether you play a Sky or something like that to get those extra pieces of utility to go into clearing and flashing your way into areas. But, you know, Sentinels go against, you know, that grain. They don't have the, you know, they have the flashless composition, so to speak, and just rely on their 2 duelists to just be able to close distance quick and just assert dominance on the map. As once again, they're trying to put that hookah pressure, but, you know, a good little counter snake bite there, kind of slowing their progress down.
But Skuba uses everything, so he's completely empty of any utility here to try to defend against the eventual hit, as the spike was, again, this left through mid-market. So the screen will go up, TenZ will go in, and now the spike being grabbed might lead to a hit coming through. And it looks like a lot of it could just be off of the fact that what we would expect to see. TenZ just dashing on over into site, gating space.
But Knights have Octagon anchored, and that's big because even if they allow this hookah attack to come in, at least they can hold down long B, and that's always going to be in the back of Sentinel's mind. Yeah, they might get space on site, but they could, maybe lose one crossing, and then if Knights just tuck in, they can still set up for a retake. They're already getting a big rotation through back calls on the remaining 3 players. They're going to have all 5 here ready to go when this spike makes its way into the site. So Sentinel's going to have to come through with brute force alone, man. Like, they're going to have to really tap into their strength of just having a lot of heavy hitters and just try to frag out.
Well, Ban was getting a bit curious on when that hit was going to come. Paint Shells was being held the entire time defensively. So Skuba now on site, trying to get a little bit of help from the guiding light, but it's SicK who's able to find one. TenZ responds. Blind showstopper to the Nebula defensively will find absolutely nothing. And now TenZ starts to tee off just a touch. 4v2 situation. Spike gets planted. TenZ on 3. And it all falls on to Genghsta, who can do nothing but fall to the rifle of dapr. 5-0 up our Sentinels, looking polished.
When we get this replay, all I want you to do is just look at the mini-map, and I want you to realize that Sentinels are out-positioned, in theory, right? There's a big rotation. There's 3 defenders in back halls. There's 2 locking down Octagon, and it doesn't matter. They just plow through anyway with the tip of the spear being SICK and TenZ. They just trade out 2 for 1 to get the initial entries. They just start breaking this thing up before it can even get started. I mean, that is why Sentinels are so strong on this map, man. Even if you have the numbers stacked against them and they feel like they're, out position, Knights has the read. They got the early rotation. They're setting up perfectly to try to play for the retake. They just get pummeled inside the site. I mean, it's just like if you have a team that's that skilled that they can play themselves out of that scenario, they're gonna win. Like they're just too good on this map. It's unbelievable.
10-3 for SicK, 6-1 for TenZ through 5 rounds. My goodness. And timeout much needed here.
That's a tough loss if you're Knights because you feel like you're doing everything right.
It really is. Absolutely. I mean, because Skuba holds off the initial play through hookah. You've got all of your utilities stacked up to stop the initial exit from hookah, and even still, it's just blast packs and dashes from SicK and TenZ, and they win their gunfights. It really is got to be frustrating.
That's some old school stuff, man. The raise jet combo. They can just close distance so well with their abilities, and they just kind of get over on top of all that counter utility at the top of hookah, and then that initial 2-for-1 trade changed everything. Knights before that were actually building up quite nicely to play for a retake, and just lost some key bows, and they're going to try to get aggressive with low weaponry outside of hookah, trying to cross with that toxic screen. Spike is actually out there by market. They're going to flash through, and okay, this might get a little interesting.
Zom's completely caught off guard. That'll be good for a first blood. dapr wants to try to take this back. Collects the first kill, but there'll be nothing more. That's going to be a weapon here for Frosty, most likely, if he does decide to push a little bit further forward. But Sentinels, recognizing this threat, have tracked back through the caves and now can potentially recontest through market. And no. It goes down. Skuba gets the informational read, and that will be good. Another elimination for SicK. This aggression from Knights working out nicely so far.
Yeah, it is. I just feel like Sentinels weren't checking a couple of key corners. Like, they really probably should have cleared out hookah there with SicK when he was trying to backtrack. And now, they're just getting a wrench thrown in the middle of the things here. It's all on to ShahZam. Just getting run through the blender. They have such good crossfires. He's able to start picking apart a couple of fights here, but just runs out of HP in the end. Skuba will finish the job. That's a first round for Knights, and it's just off the back of an eco push out hookah that Sentinels just simply had no tabs on. There was really no one watching for that. They had no one playing outside of hookah just watching for the push. They were more geared up towards short A position. The other 2 players that were B were just focused on long. And then, SicK does not check this corner inside hookah. He tries to bypass it with the toxic screen as his aid, but then Skuba drops it, gets the frag, and that's it. Big thrifty round.
You kind of have to wonder who makes that play call in that situation, because Skuba's been the one that's been contesting hookah largely through, and I wonder if he's sitting there saying, hey, there isn't that same early play from SicK. Maybe there is a chance for us at his full flood and just get a 4v1 versus him if he's the only player here. So
Better believe SicK's watching this time.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Moombot already found out. He's trying to blast back across here and catch someone up top. I think he knows that there's probably someone up on the left-hand side. So he has dapr holding his right while he's trying to poke this left. Gets caught,
still gets one. Frosty on the corner nearly takes down more. Seekers comes through. There's the guiding light. Even pushing through, the snakebite ban will collect this double. But the position over through Octagon was never defensively held. Aldrone scouted that out, but Ban still pushing forward, has denied more space through mid. And it's just, again, I love this from Knights for a number of reasons. The first being they're not backing down to Sentinels' aggression.
No, they're not at all. The TenZ still has a chance to maybe pull this thing off in a 1v2, but Spike is down in dangerous territory. And while he's got full HP, Knights are gathered up together to play this one out as a team. He might get this 1v1 against Skuba, though. Ban's not quite at the angle to face together, but as soon as he comes out, they are in unison. and they will get that round. And like you said, they're not afraid to go scrapping with Sentinels here. There was definitely a lot of momentum shifts throughout the course of that round, but in the end, Knights come out on top. And it really, I think, comes down to this right here. They don't let SicK get that clear, and then they chase the second. They get a 2-for-1 on that, and then Ban gets this flank off on ShahZam. Those were the big kills for Knights that round.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff coming through. Timeout, well served, say that much. So now we get to another full versus full setup. A lot of ultimates ready to go for Sentinels. Showstopper, Blades. Pretty much everything you could possibly want, save just the Hunter's Fury. So we'll see how things unfold this time around. SicK still looking to put some pressure through Hookah, but it's Frosty that's going to contest this time, which means Gravity Well will be spent to stop at least in the initial plays.
And this has been a trouble point for Sentinels these last couple rounds, is getting access to Hookah early and not losing anything along the way. It's kind of slowed down a lot of their B splits that they're used to being able to handle really well. And yeah, Ban gets out into open space with that guiding light and gets to come to ShahZam and gets away, but Sentinels are quick to react into Hookah to even it back up and get space on the site.
So it's going to be a retake here from the side of Knights as Ban is stuck by teleporter. Zombs will collect, and now it's a 3v2. Viper's Pit to make this post plant a little bit more safe. All drone coming in will not really scout out too much. So it's Skuba from the back, Genghsta from the front. Some more utility to play with here for Genghsta. Could be valuable as he tries to clear out Cubby, no one home. Playing through Octagon still as Zombs to try to watch the opposite side of this flank, and Genghsta just spams through the Viper Spin and gets a headshot. So that makes things much more doable. But Skuba on the opposite side, he finds timing onto Zombs. Just up to dapr, 1v2. Gets the first through the backside of the Viper's Pit. Viper on Viper action. Skuba up top, nothing there. dapr comes up clutch once again for the Red Bull clutch, and the Sentinels win.
Yeah, big round again from dapr. We saw it a couple of times out of him as well on Ascent, where he came up big by himself in some key moments to help his team stay close, and he does it yet again here. Ultimately, I thought the round started off well for Sentinels. I mean, yeah, they lost a couple of battles out at Longby, but they were so reactionary to get into sight, get a double entry there, and get the Viper's Pit down that I thought, yeah, that was a great reaction, but they still lost a couple of members along the way in that post plant you weren't expecting, but dapr saves the day yet again. 1v2 clutch, keeps Sentinels well out in front. Money again low for Knights. They have to go for a Spectre here on Skuba, and they're going to have to full save if they lose this round. So, I mean, Sentinels can still have a banger attack in half here. So they're now pivoting to this A pressure early.
First time we've seen them really work through showers for the Knights defense. Showstopper out, SicK in. Toxic screen over through U-Halt. They get full information on XXiF, and space has been fully cleared. Blindly, the Showstopper near the end of its fuse will be thrown over towards showers. Does not connect even for damage. And once again, SicK in a very advanced position. Denied as Skuba just runs and guns him from the corner. Ban on the flank. Gonna collect another. And then even behind that, there's TenZ to try to challenge. ShahZam will eventually get the trade, but it comes at a huge cost. 3v2 we go.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy here from Sentinels in the post plant, but ShahZam at least reels it somewhat back into control, but they're still down a man. It's up to Zombs trying to halt this Lance push. He does get what he needs, and it sets up the 1v1 for ShahZam against Frosty.
Oh, he gets
the info with the recon ball. He's trapped in the corner, however, that's the problem, and Frosty runs him down. And even with low HP, he'll come up with the clutch, and that's a big round from Knights because Sentinels, again, I feel like had everything that they wanted. They had full site control. They cleared everything out with Showstopper. They must have known there were players still at showers just based on process of elimination. SicK, though, tries to get a little bit crafty with the back calls pressure, gets caught, and then evens his numbers back up for Knights, and then Ban gets this short A flank to work wonders for him. And that sets them up to have a chance, and they capitalize.
So good.
And that was just careless, though, from Sentinels. I can't believe they weren't watching for that.
It's careless in the form that you, again, are starting to establish for Knights that you're getting aggressive and finding room to work with. In Sentinels, like we kind of had talked about different ones in Ascent, are just maybe not taking, you know, their due diligence to clear off some of these angles, like you mentioned, where you have to know that they're positioned.
Surely you knew that they were probably showers, and you had to think that there was a short A flank as a threat, and they just weren't watching for it at the right time.
Yeah.
Also, I think maybe SicK went a little bit for too much there in the back halls. They just played the 5-on-4 more safe towards short A. Either way, neither here nor there. Now we see the big entry from TenZ with daggers. Big one on to Ban, just showboating. Hookah, though, still controlled defensively, and I like this from TenZ. Knowing that that's a chance, we'll get into back halls. This is a good maneuver to avoid that Hookah.
Oh, but the paint shells, they chip away at Zombs. I won't even say chip away. They take chunks of them. So he's down to half HP. The retake going to have to largely be through Hookah, as both teams have just gone essentially haymaker after haymaker at one another in the opening 15 seconds of rounds. Boombot will go through. XXiF still has 2 blast packs to potentially take away space quickly if he wants to burst his way on towards site. Genghsta, no utility at the moment, neither does skuba. So here they go. TenZ reads the first, knives out, he collects. And the last one left is skuba. Nothing he could do there. Too many members to deal with. Sentinels recover.
Yeah, I think that was just good reactions from Sentinels. This time they did pay a lot more mind to what does my opponent have control of and how do I play around it. They knew that hookah was kind of forfeited, so they play the plant to back calls and stick TenZ in that area with daggers. And that's just a way better little reaction off the back of his entry there onto ban. I also like that he didn't shoot after the first player that crossed. He just passes the info and focuses up on the second guy who's playing center window. That was just good team play from Sentinels. That's very much tidying up what went wrong for them, I think, in the previous round. Just getting on the same page and making sure they're not going to let, Knights string together a couple in a row. As we see a big push-up short A here. Low econ for Knights.
And look at this Sentinels adjustment saying, all right, we know that they've been getting aggressive. Let's spend a little bit of early utility that does find a little bit of chip damage. dapr, though, still shrugged back. But SicK able to follow up. That'll be good. TenZ here to help. Another double will tally between the two duelists here for Sentinels. And with that, Knights will back away and say, okay, we maybe bit off more than we could chew.
Yeah, I think this is also Sentinels thinking, okay, guys, we've kind of got caught on a couple of these. Let's focus up here. Let's not allow them to slot through any cracks that we may have in our default. And they are able to handle that just fine. They have the 4-on-3. They now have B-side control. Spike making its way in. It will be planted. Zombs watching for any shenanigans over towards elbow position. skuba will just sit back behind the Nebula for now. And they're trying to flank through short A a little bit here. But their chances of retaking are just so low now.
Decent read from skuba, but cannot convert. Would need to have been to double. So ban with a rifle. Very well may just let this round come to an anticlimactic concession here. Hold. XXiF is still going to try to make something interesting happen with this ghost. And that will largely be about it. ShahZam actually does make sure that that rifle does not make it through the next round. So 8 here so far for Sentinels with 1 more to play in the half.
Last round in the half.
Yeah, it's been a pretty dominant attacking half from Sentinels. I mean, this honestly could have probably been like 10-1 at this point. I think they did kind of slip on a couple of rounds and really kind of cost them. A couple of eco pushes worked wonders for Knights. This round had a similar recipe, but not the same result. Sentinels were on top of it. They will go ahead and push it to A3. Money is back for Knights. They do have a couple of alts in play as well with the Viper's Pit and Cosmic Divide. Same could be said for Sentinels with their Hunter's Fury, as well as Zonta and Cosmic Divide. Viper's Pit dropped early to control short A for Knights.
Through this Nebula and Guiding Light, TenZ still has an angle and punishes Ban, who was getting a little curious to see if anyone had slipped through that Guiding Light play. So now, I think chat starts to say 9-3 curse question mark. We'll find out. So far, though, for Sentinels, good stuff on this way through, even using the Hunter's Fury to clear off backside of elbow. SicK just making sure nobody gets into sight, and the spike gets planted. 5v2. skuba from the back. He would have to do something unbelievable just to even create space for XXiF to work with. He's already being chewed up by shock darts.
Yeah, it's just Sentinels being so explosive, so reactionary off that
utility here, though.
pick. Yeah, maybe, but they're still just so far behind, and all the angles are being covered. XXiF, though, gets a couple from elbow. What's happened here? It's short-lived. Short-lived excitement. As
Very short-lived.
Yeah, 9-3. Just an excellent textbook round from Sentinels to cap that one off. A dominant attacking side from them as they go up 9-3. We'll see if Knights can respond after a short break.
And I mean, even if you do say, okay, Knights somehow.
Welcome back, everybody. A dominant first offensive half from Sentinels, an affair where I think largely the fan base is expecting good defense, which means not good news necessarily for Knights. A must-win pistol, you think, here, Dust?
Absolutely. I mean, they have to establish themselves early. You know, there's no doubt about it. If you lose pistol, you let Sentinels get that momentum again. It just coming back is going to be so difficult, especially because, you know, Knights have not had the best attacking halves on this map, if we're honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
Only like 50% of the rounds going their way when they've played attack, so they need to start hot. Threaten to come back.
Good information. SicK catches a shoulder, paint shells immediately as the response, and whoa, wait a second, backing through the guiding light was banned, and that actually works out nicely because Zombs was completely deterred by the flash ban, even finding more down with the frenzy, but SicK quick to recover the lamp's position as skuba gets the plant off, paint shells to flush him away, but that actually does more than that. It finds the kill, and now all of a sudden Sentinels lost with 2. Yeah, it's true.
He's in the sewers. Anyway, we're going to get into Sentinel's attempt at a retake here. Stafford's going to catch XXiF with the frenzy, but they're still pretty far behind here. Promise it wasn't on purpose.
Let that one sit there.
Yeah.
Gravity well will make life a bit difficult for dapr. TenZ at least finding one response kill, but time becoming a problem. He's going to have to try to hold for this eventually. Double swing comes through, and oh my goodness, nearly. For a second, I thought I was about to completely lose my lid.
Yeah, but still a brilliant round from Knights, especially considering the early intel that SicK was able to get, as well as that paint shell pressure he's able to lay down so early. They're still able to get into lamps. They're still able to crush SicK eventually. And to come out on top in a pistol that they absolutely required to have a chance at coming back on this map. Again, they have that third map safety net having won the first. So they already had that going for them. But, man, if they could come and take Sentinels out on bind from a comeback,
what a statement.
Bold statement that would. Yeah, that would be massive, considering how dominant Sentinels have been on bind. It's still early, though. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Still very early days here on bind. Let's calm down. No hopium just yet. Keep it ready, though.
Yeah, for sure. Viper utility dispersed amongst the site. That'll lead to a quick plant here for Frosty, as Sentinels were largely looking to stack over towards B. So now as they get all 5 members forward, TenZ opportunity. We've seen a lot of things happen with marshals on this site over the last week and a half. Could he potentially do more? It would be hard-pressed, you feel. But TenZ is able to find 1 kill. Hold on a second. Slow loading. He's able to get at least more shots in the mix. Frosty, he will deny the play through connector, and with that, the hopes of retake go out the window.
Yeah, that is gone, but it's all going to come down to whether or not Knights can cash in on this bonus. That would give them such a great little foothold into challenging this gap on the scoreboard that Sentinels have created with such a strong attack, as they're so well known for. But their defense is, I mean, arguably been just as strong on bind, if we're honest.
Yeah, for real.
Throughout their run. I mean, I think they're actually even 65% win rate on both sides of the map. So can definitely get it done either way. And now they get the edge of having the superior firepower in this round 15. But again, if Knights could somehow pull this one off, then force a save out of Sentinels because of it, all of a sudden you got yourself a tight race again.
Sure do.
Let's see.
Skuba's opening burst does actually connect, at least in some form, with SicK. Lining up, skuba looking to continue to do more here as guiding light, olive drone will be spent to try to clear space simultaneously through long. So you've got the setup that you want. Do you go quick here? Sure, looks like they want to. Defensively, all this utility being spent, and that will slow things down just a touch.
Yep.
Here they come.
Grapple and Snakebite come in. Shock Dart clears under heaven, and it allows them to get out and to open the fight. But dapr is just catching them all from elbow with that Phantom, and ShahZam will shore it up as well, leaving it down just a ban.
Not a lot of an opportunity here. He knows obviously he's got pressure to his left, and then immediately more Sentinels members to deal with. Gets 2, not bad, but largely for Sentinels, they do come out pretty unscathed. I mean, it's hard to say that completely with 3 members falling, but as you mentioned, not bad at all for Knights to at least be able to kind of punish the economy a touch.
Yeah, forcing a little bit of rebind. Ban, you know, trying to put some heroics out there. Did about as well as he could have, considering the 1v4 and the crossfires that Sentinels had on site. And yeah, it's just good counter utility from Sentinels to kind of stall Knights, buy time for rotations. And dapr, which is so big from elbow there. Those kills he got pretty much won the round.
Yeah.
But here we go. Full buy for both teams. First big test defensively for Sentinels here. Looking to get aggro at short A.
Boombot gets sent through first. Defensive toxic screen also kind of isolating over this angle, but skuba does not even bother to move any further forward. So as the spike gets left over, at least through the backside of mid-market, once again we get Sky utility being used to try to clear B long, and that actually kind of denies a lot of the space that was initially trying to be contested by the Aldra.
Yeah, but Sentinels do hold on to short A really well, and they also did a lot of damage to Skuba.
Yeah.
Ben could heal him once he gathers back up with his team, but he has to stay alive first, as they're getting pressured at long right now by dapr and co, who are getting intel, and they're even pressing off the back end with the shock darts and snake bites. They're just chipping away at Genghsta, and they do survive. But again, Sentinels have kind of slowed down the attack so much and have already done so much damage to several different players on the opposing team. And they're well rotated for this B attack.
Yeah. Well, Frosty's going to make the way over. They're actually not going to fully even bother trying to regrowth, and SicK is going to take down 2 just by way of the paint shells. Free utility, by the way. So as Genghsta's able to take 1 in return, the second set of paint shells finds more. SicK almost acing with just 1 ability. Eventually, there is at least some eliminations to speak of for Knights. ShahZam backing away, but cannot get out of the line of sight of Frosty, and it turns into a Frosty 1v3 in technicality. And he will not expect zombs to lurk back in towards sight. Sentinels on 11.
Yeah, Sentinels were just able to get some firm positioning on the site. Yeah, they eventually got pushed back on long B, but they already done so much damage. They got such a good read of the situation, able to have those 3 players, you know, firmly holding B with confidence that they had the right call. And just brilliant paint shell, brilliant spray. Just absolutely shut down this split before it could really even get started. And TenZ is so quick to be flanking through hookah. Zombs is there, very rapid as well. And that's a comfortable win for Sentinels. That's what you've come to expect from them on this map. Sheriffs only now for Knights, having to basically save for what could be last round of regulation.
Tall ask here for the Knights. Figuring that they would have to pull off a thrifty here just to give themselves a chance. As Sentinels have a pretty healthy bank across a number of different members. TenZ, first blood onto Frosty, clears out all of Showers. Knights still looking to stack up through mid, and ShahZam is going to read this with the Owl drone. Recon bolt to follow. And that will mean for the Knights, they will just have to kind of turn tail and run.
Yeah, they are just stuffed right now on short A. They're able to get into Showers, at least kind of reclaim that territory. I do saw that Spectre on Skuba, but still very reliant upon Sheriffs, and Sentinels again have good positioning. They're pushed out long B already with SicK, so they have good info on that side of the map. They still can hold 3 firm on A with confidence because of this position that SicK holds at long B. Good Trailblazer stuns TenZ, a chance to catch him. He's able to dash away.
On good counter paint shells once again to come through. Sentinels defense looking just as sturdy as you'd expect. XXiF only able to find 1 piece of even marginal silver lining as Zombs will take the final kill, and Sentinels will very quickly be on map 2 point.
Match point.
Yeah, potentially very rapidly turning the page towards Haven here. And Sentinels are just a little bit of a different beast when you catch them on their side of the map pool. Like, if you catch them on a vulnerable map like Split has been for them lately, or even as SEN hasn't been played as much for them as comparison to like an Icebox or a Haven, or obviously this map we're watching right now, they're just a different team when you catch them in their comfort zone, which very much so is Bind. As this is last chance saloon here for Knights as far as Bind is concerned. They are fully bought up. They have a couple of ults to play with, and are looking to hit hot and heavy up short A, which again is where they find their strength. Their up-tempo playstyle is what Knights have built their name on. But look at this from TenZ. Oh my goodness.
Frosty needs to read this. He needs to at least get this elimination, then come back to re-help over towards Shower side. And TenZ has read this. They both chip away at each other as the take towards A is trying to come through. SicK even moving very quickly, but Frosty is given so much space. He does at least take down one with them. TenZ able to get the trade, but as the spike gets planted, dapr is going to use that as a chance to just mix the toxins. And that will lead to an opportunity to try to retake, and dapr finding the third elimination means it's all on to Skuba. Oh boy. This would be a very difficult 1v3, but both Viper's pit kind of intersecting means that decay will happen on both sides. Skuba holding in a corner. There's a good first elimination. dapr toggles for the spike, looking to re-change up where exactly he's positioned. He's found himself some actual time to work with here. dapr's down to 1 HP off the decay. ShahZam is not necessarily what I would call healthy, but ShahZam takes away the back angle, gets the confirmed trade. No 1v3 here. Sentinels will take map number 2, 13-5.
Yeah, a nice
Defenders
first
win.
map from Knights, but Sentinels say not just yet, buddy.